We asked Gacy where he was born, and Gacy looked at us and said, "I was born in a state of confusion."
Welcome to Watch Mojo, and today we're counting down our picks for the top 10 creepiest facts about John Wayne Gacy.
I said, "Look at this, Gacy. Look at this, John. This kid is missing. They think you did it. Stop lying to me."
For this list, we're looking at the most unsettling truths about one of America's most infamous serial killers. Which of these facts disturbs you the most? Let us know in the comments below. Number 10, his mortuary job. When John Wayne Gacy was a young adult, he fled his abusive father and moved west to Las Vegas.
When he drank, he was almost like a different person. My dad struck all of his children all the time.
For 3 months, he worked in the city's Palm mortuary as an attendant and frequently witnessed the embalming process. He also conducted some highly illicit and deeply disturbing acts with the bodies that came into the mortuary.
These young men and boys should still be alive today had somebody paid any attention to the warning signs.
According to Gacy, he experienced great personal stress after climbing into a coffin and laying with the corpse inside. Seemingly unnerved by his own recent behavior, Gacy moved back to his hometown and attended college. Number 9, his paintings. John Wayne Gacy took up painting later in life, once he had already been sentenced to prison.
He produced several paintings, several works of art, which he sold.
While Gacy claimed that his creations were meant to inspire, quote, joy, many find them eerie. A popular subject of the paintings is Gacy himself. Specifically, Gacy dressed as his clown alter egos Pogo and Patches.
He painted horrible things like skulls and clowns and creepy things like that, but people bought them and they paid $200 a shot for him to paint these ugly pictures.
Some other subjects are also quite macabre, including a human skull that Gacy titled Dahmer Skull, referencing infamous serial killer Jeffrey Dahmer. The reaction to these paintings was mixed. Some were burned, while others sold for thousands of dollars, bought by collectors interested in what is termed murderabilia.
He maintained a legacy even after his death through those paintings. So he was still in control when he was behind bars. He still had power over other people.
Number 8, his last words. At 12:58 a.m. on the morning of May 10th, 1994, John Wayne Gacy was executed via lethal injection.
It was a circus. We were in a room at some point and we saw a television screen and we saw thousands of people lined up at least a mile down the street at the prison with signs, "Kill the clown, kill Gacy."
And he was unrepentant to the end. His last words are not known for sure, as there are conflicting accounts about what he said. But either way, they present a man who was defiantly callous. Many believe Gacy's final words were a crude and curt "kiss my ass."
Those are the words of a man who absolutely didn't mind what he'd done, who was proud of himself and proud of that killing spree.
Others claim that they were actually an argument that the state was killing him, and that his death would not make amends for his victims.
After the execution, you'd think there'd be closure, but there really isn't closure for something like that.
Yet others still, including Chief Deputy State's Attorney William Kunkel, claim that nothing at all was verbally said. Number 7, he would take victims off the street. Serial killers have different MOs, and Gacy's was simply grabbing people off the street and luring them to his house.
Then we got people started coming forth saying, I know this guy, he worked there, he's missing too.
This occurred often in public places like Chicago's Washington Square or a Greyhound bus station. Of course, we know he often dressed as a clown, but there was also speculation that he may have posed as a cop. And sometimes he attracted his victims with a job offer.
I understand that you hire young kids, and I'm really interested in having a different job. And Gacy says, well, jump in the car, I'll have you fill out an application.
Either way, victims would be picked off the street, often in broad daylight. This came to an end in December of 1978, when Gacy took young Robert Piest from Nissen Pharmacy.
We don't know what happened to Robert Piest, but we suspected that Gacy had something to do with it.
His disappearance launched an investigation into Gacy, which eventually led to his arrest. Number 6, Jack Hanley. Once Gacy was caught, He tried desperately to play the insanity defense and convince the prosecution that he was not in full control of his faculties.
Gacy's defense team were pleading insanity.
He managed to fool several psychiatric experts who believed that Gacy suffered from schizophrenia.
They had so many different psychiatrists saying so many different things that they all came up with different diagnoses.
Gacy claimed that he had 4 different personalities and that the violent one was an evil homophobe named Jack Hanley. While some psychiatrists seemingly bought into it, the ruse didn't work. There was a preponderance of evidence that Gacy had premeditated his killings and was always knowledgeable of his actions. His defense collapsed, and he was convicted of 33 counts of homicide.
In the final moments of the trial, one of the prosecutors, William Kunkel, called him a ruthless, sadistic killing machine. And I think that's a pretty apt description.
Number 5, young victims. Gacy's victims shared many similarities, as is often the case with serial killers. All were male, and many were very young.
At that time, in the late 70s, kids were running away all the time. And a lot of these kids were reported missing, but there was no follow-up.
Most were either teenagers or young adults. Gacy's crimes actually started when he himself was a teen, and though we can't say much about it here, they seem rather indicative of what would transpire later on.
My approach to it was I would mention it to somebody, and if somebody wanted to get into it, then they would pursue the conversation.
Of Gacy's identified victims, the oldest were 21-year-olds Francis Alexander and Russell Nelson.
Most were teenage runaways, and bring them back to his house and giving them drinks. He would sort of trick them into handcuffing themselves or being handcuffed.
Number 4, the attack on Donald Voorhees. By the mid-60s, Gacy was working as a manager at KFC and serving as vice president of the Waterloo Jaycees, a leadership training program that develops business and managerial skills.
It was after that that his aspirations to become the president emerged. I guess this was when the rumors started coming out that John Gacy was not all what he appeared to be.
However, this veneer came crashing down with the assault of Donald Voorhees. Voorhees informed his father of the incident, and despite positive character references from other Jaycees, Gacy was indicted on May 10, 1968.
Once John was arrested for the assault on Donald Jr., it became much more of a topic of conversation in town.
He was later arrested after hiring an employee to beat Voorhees as a means of intimidation. Gacy was convicted and given a 10-year prison sentence, but he served just 18 months before he was granted parole.
I was told I had an antisocial personality, that it was deemed as an experimental type thing, and that they felt that it would be not a reoccurring thing, and that the whole thing was stupid, that it should have never happened.
Number 3, unidentified victims. There are many things about Gacy's victims that we do not know. He was officially convicted on 33 counts of homicide, but we only know the identities of 28 of them.
There's this sense of relief that you feel from talking to them, that they've been waiting their whole life to get this call, to have this resolved, and it means everything to them.
Of the remaining 5, we know the approximate dates of their deaths and a rough idea of their ages, but not their names. However, there is great hope for the future as the identifying process continues. For example, as recently as October of 2021, developments were made in the case with the positive identification of a victim.
The family of Francis Wayne Alexander of North Carolina has been informed that his body was one of many discovered in the crawl space of this serial killer's Illinois home in 1978.
It's also possible that Gacy killed far more than the 33 that have been attributed to him. In fact, Gacy himself once told investigators that there are likely a dozen more who haven't been found.
You're scratching your head and going, what happened to these? They just vanished. Never just turned up. Where did they go?
Number 2, the crawl space.
When they executed that search warrant, they went in the crawl space, and the very first shovel that they dug, they found human remains.
One of the most famous aspects of John Wayne Gacy's crime spree is that he buried dozens of victims in the crawl space of his home. Of his 33 known victims, 26 were buried underneath the house. Eventually, the crawl space ran out of room, which prompted Gacy to dispose of bodies elsewhere. including other parts of his property and the Des Plaines River.
And he didn't have any room left on his property, so he threw 5 remaining victims in the Des Plaines River.
Unfortunately, some of the corpses were found bearing evidence of trauma.
And they did an overlay of where the bodies were actually found compared to that diagram that he made, and it was unbelievable. It was right on the money.
Victims buried in the house were transported out, and the dwelling was demolished in April of 1979. Before we continue, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. You have the option to be notified for occasional videos or all of them. If you're on your phone, make sure you go into your settings and switch on notifications. Number 1. Pogo the Clown and Politics. Perhaps the scariest thing about John Wayne Gacy is that he was a violent killer hiding under the guise of an upstanding citizen.
Everyone that we talked to just loved John Wayne Gacy. His neighbors, his coworkers, all of his associates, they loved the guy.
Throughout the mid-70s, Gacy performed as a clown at charity fundraisers and children's hospitals. He played 2 different clowns, the happy Pogo and the more morose Patches.
At one point, chillingly, he says to the detectives, "You know, clowns can get away with murder." Well, never was a truer word said.
He also worked in politics, using the employees at his PDM contractors to clean the local headquarters of the Democratic Party. In addition, he was the precinct captain of a local street lighting committee and directed Chicago's Polish Constitution Day parade for numerous years.
Gacy was the best precinct captain in the Norwood Park Democratic Organization. Everybody knew him.
It was here that Gacy was infamously photographed with Rosalind Carter, the First Lady of the United States. Check out these other clips from WatchMojo, and be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to be notified about our latest videos.